Welcome back, everybody, to Two Guys, Three Crowns, the podcast about what it's really like to live in Stockholm, Sweden. Join me, Sean, and my fellow American Rodney as we explore the good, the bad, and the just plain weird.
Sean.
Rodney.
Knock, knock.
Who is there?
Guest.
Guest who?
Yes, guest. Exactly. Guest who? We have a guest today. We have a wonderful surprise guest today.
That was the dad joke of all dad jokes.
Hey, you know what? You don't want to hear me sing this week after my little health stint last week, but
yeah, your limited lung capacity.
Exactly. So our special guest for everybody today is actually joining us stateside. And we are welcoming to our little show today, Meagan Nouis. Welcome to the Two Guys, Three Crowns podcast.
Great, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Meagan, I followed you on social media. I have checked out YouTube. I actually listened a little bit to an exciting brand new podcast that popped up on my radar. But for our listeners that don't know Meagan as well as I do, go ahead and fill our listeners in a little bit about yourself.
Sure, yeah. My name is Meagan Nouis. Currently, I am in Minnesota. That's where I have mostly grown up. And I have loved Sweden for many years, fell in love with it in 2012. And after 2012, I was on a mission to move to Sweden. So I was able to travel a few times, and I lived in Stockholm for 3 months back in 2014. And that sealed the deal. I knew I want to live in Sweden. So I finally had figured out my way there, and I got my master's degree in Örebro. So I lived there for 2 years, and then the migrations office kicked me out in October of 2021. So currently back in Minnesota, but I'm absolutely planning on being back in Sweden this year. Yeah, that's in the works.
Now were you in Göteborg or were you in Örebro? Where?
I was just in Örebro when I moved there in 2019, but I did spend 3 months in Stockholm in 2014, and I visited a couple times in between, but those are just like a week-long trip here and there. So
now, for people that don't know where Örebro is, how far is it outside of Stockholm by train? Is it like?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just a 2-hour train ride. Yeah, 2-hour train ride directly west. So yeah, and I think it might take 3 or 4 hours to Göteborg. So it's definitely more central Sweden or that kind of area.
Okay. Now, you kind of cut things a little short there because you made it sound like you arrived and then you were here in Stockholm.
Yeah, I think someone buried the lead somewhere in there.
I think there was some other stuff that had happened while you were here, and I think that you should fill people in.
Sure. So I'm assuming what you're referencing is the time I was on The Bachelor. Yeah. I was on The Bachelor Sweden.
I was going to say it wasn't just The Bachelor. I mean, it was The Bachelor Sweden,
it was crazy, and. I was casted for the show almost exactly 3 years ago. So 2019, and it was before I had officially moved there for school. Right. So filmed the show, then came back to Minnesota for several months, then moved to Sweden, but I still had to keep it a secret until it was like announced that the show was happening. Right. So I was just making friends and living in Sweden, and then a month later I had to be like, by the way, guys.
Oh, yeah.
The Bachelor Sweden airs next month, and I'm in it.
Oh, yeah. Then there's this one little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Still doesn't feel real that all happened. And the funny story is that I didn't actually apply for that show. So
Right.
I had
wow.
applied to be on Allt för Sverige, which is the Great Swedish Adventure, I think is how they translate it. But that's the show where if you have Swedish ancestry, then you visit Sweden and then you try to, basically, when I did the interview for that, they thought I was too qualified because I had already studied the language. I'd been to Sweden. I'd lived in Sweden. So they're like, well, we really want Americans who don't know anything about Sweden.
Right. You were overqualified.
I was
People trying to talk to
overqualified.
neighbors.
And so I was just like, wait, no, please. Is there like any other show I could maybe be on? And I threw it out as a joke. I was like, I mean, like Bachelor Sweden or something.
Yeah.
And the lady on the phone was like, well, actually, I do know the girl who's casting for that show, and I'll pass your name along. And I didn't think anything of it because it took like 2 months before I got a call out of the blue, and it was from the Bachelor Sweden. I was like,
Oh no.
it's crazy. Yeah. So, and then from there, everything moved pretty quickly because by the time I had gotten the phone call from Bachelor Sweden, I still had to do a couple interviews. And within a month, I was flying to South Africa where they filmed the show. And it still just doesn't sound real. Yeah, they filmed it in South Africa. So, because Bachelor
Doesn't
US,
the
they'll go to a
zebras
different
not
country.
work with Sweden? What is going on here?
Well, okay, if you watch the U.S. Bachelor, they'll go to a different country every week. But Sweden doesn't have that type of budget. So they just picked a country off the bat, and then they stayed there for the whole thing. So, I was there for 5 weeks. And
See, you thought you were going to travel to be on TV and come to Sweden. They're like, no, we're sending you on safari. You're not coming to Sweden. Like, no,
pretty
no,
much,
no.
yeah. So I actually never went to Sweden to be on The Bachelor Sweden. I was only in South Africa.
Hey. And only in Sweden would something like that happen, where you're filming a Swedish TV show, but not in Sweden.
Not in Sweden, no. But it worked out that, after everything is filmed, then they do the, in the States, it's like after the final rose, or they do all the little behind the scenes stuff. That time it was filmed in Göteborg, and it worked out perfectly with my school schedule because I had to fly to.
That's right.
I had to go to school, and it literally filmed a week beforehand. So I was just really lucked out with all the timing on that, and so they did end up bringing me to Sweden for that, and I just stayed in Sweden for school.
Now, did you keep up with the show at all after you were on it? I assume that they've had a Bachelor follow-up.
Sure, or follow seasons afterwards.
Seasons, right.
Yeah, so they had casted for 2020, and it was, and then COVID hit, so they canceled all of Bachelor for 2020, which actually it kind of made it interesting for our season because then our season was the most recent season for 2 years, so we kind of got to benefit off
bonus.
Of it was like my picture was up there on SVT or Channel 4 or something for 2 years. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm still up there. But no, now they've had Bachelor Sweden 2021. And then they had the first ever Bachelorette Sweden ever. Technically, I think they might have had something 10, 15 years ago. But they just had the first ever Bachelorette Sweden, and now they're casting for 2022. So I'm still keeping up with it.
Okay. Now, Meagan, there's SVT Play, right? And I know because sometimes I've sent my mom links. I'm like, Mom, you got to check out this show. But I always forget to check the royalty stuff, so I send my mom stuff and she's like, my computer's broken again, but it's not. It's just the licensing, stuff. But are there shows that you go in and check out still? I assume you're... Man,
I should be better about it, but my disclosure is that I don't watch much TV. I don't even watch much US TV, but Swedish TV, I do the one show that really sticks out would be Bäst i Test. I don't know if you guys watched that one. It's basically the British Taskmaster. If you watch any of these shows, So I love that show, and they don't have every season available, but I definitely watched the episodes that I can find for that one, Bäst i Test. I recommend it.
Meagan recommends it.
Yes.
No, we
And she's been on TV, so you can believe her.
I know. My opinion matters. Yeah.
Absolutely. Allt för Sverige is actually one of our little favorite shows. That's one that we watch, and we've watched since the beginning because it's fun. It's fun to see people with Swedish roots, fly over here, and it's always amazing to me how emotional American, when they're here, there is always portions of the show where somebody, and I mean, and it's a lot. I can imagine how learning about your Swedish, heritage and people have been longing. But we Americans get pretty emotional when it comes to, there is no holding back
Right.
on those. Now, speaking of TV shows, and you know where this is. I
think I pieced that one together.
This one's going okay. You have actually been keeping up with and doing reviews of the American Song Contest. Sean and I talk about every year when Melodifestivalen and when Eurovision comes, and we don't do as in-depth coverage of it, but is that something that you experienced that obviously when you were here?
Yeah. So I didn't know anything about Eurovision or Melodifestivalen until about 2019. I think it was
Right.
when I was on The Bachelor and met all of these girls from Sweden, and we were there when Mello was happening. So they were all hyped up about it, and I didn't know what it was. Oh my gosh. And I was hooked. I mean, this is totally if I had grown up in Sweden, I would be one of the diehard, this would have been my childhood dream, would be to be on Mello.
Hello. Right.
So I love it. And and so I've been hooked ever since, and I've made a couple of videos. And so, of course, now that they're trying to bring it to the States, I figured it was okay, it's my responsibility, I think, to report on this. Well, yeah, because I'm still convinced most Americans don't know what's happening. And so it's mostly Europeans, I think, watching this show.
Yeah.
And most of my followers are either Swedish or European. So yeah, it's been fun to kind of give more of the insider take from this angle. Because when I've tried to talk about Eurovision, I've gotten a lot of criticism being like, well, you don't know anything because you're American. How would you know anything about Eurovision? I'm like, why can't I just enjoy the show, you guys?
That's all you need to know about Eurovision. Yeah. Just look at it.
It's just
it says it
and
all.
It's supposed to be a whole show about unity, and they they go after me anytime I try to talk about it. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Unity.
Now,
Australia, that very important country in the EU. Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I like how Australia snuck into the competition. What? That's fine.
Yeah. How far below Skåne is that?
Right.
Now,
yeah.
I went in and I've watched both of your American Song Contest summaries. And I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one that was confused by the judging and point system, because I watched I watched most of the first show. I watched from, what's his name?
Snoop Dogg?
No.
Oh, wait.
Michael Bolton.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't even know what I was watching first. I was like, oh, okay, this is a thing. But after the summary, it was just all of a sudden this, one person, they're like, okay, he won. And then it was over. And I was like, where are the points? Where's the points? How come France isn't calling with their points? And,
I have a lot of questions, and I
Where's
still do.
all the corruption? We're missing all the corruption of all these foreign countries voting on our stuff.
Yeah, it's which state gave Minnesota the most points? I want to know. No, well, okay, so one thing I have found out, which I'll have to mention in the next episode, I guess, the jury votes are actually counted during the dress rehearsal. Did not know that. Like,
Wow.
so it's not, so that's how they're able to come up with these jury points, like minutes after the final performance. They already know before the episode even starts who the jury vote is going to go to.
The magic of
But
TV.
I still don't understand how much weight the jury vote has, because that's where I feel like the songs that went on to the semifinal, one of them I think should have been New Boot Goofin', if you guys have been watching the songs or whatever. And and just based on the numbers of views on YouTube and on Spotify, it was like New Boot Goofin' should have moved on, and it didn't, and that's because the jury gave it second to last.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
And then they
But
won't
I mean-
tell us like what are the rules. So I don't know.
I mean, Michael Bolton moving on is like people complaining that Spider-Man didn't get an Oscar because it was the biggest movie of the year. And it's like, that's what the money is for. That's why you got all the money. Like, Michael Bolton, like, get out of here. What? You got the money. Go away. You know?
Yeah,
You can't
but
be in this.
I did love his song. Yeah. But
His song was phenomenal, and I told when we were sitting watching, because the voice sounded familiar, the visuals didn't really. I still know Michael Bolton from like when when Michael Bolton was. But my wife was like, I know that voice, and we knew the voice, but it was almost, he didn't really. It looked effortless. I mean,
that
it
blew
didn't,
me away. Yeah.
It didn't look like he was like he wasn't. He was just standing there singing, and his voice was amazing.
It's because he's
Yeah.
a professional musician. That's what he does.
Right.
So, yeah.
I know. I was worried that like that's totally gonna sway. I mean, yeah, what an advantage to have Michael Bolton on the show. But then I had to be like, okay, the song actually was good, so I can't be upset. But I did
Right.
think that's probably gonna like, oh man, well everyone's gonna vote for him because it's Michael Bolton.
Michael Bolton,
So
right?
yeah.
And I when that happened too, I was thinking, oh, okay, now we got professional singers. You know, now we got people with these fantastic careers that are popping up there. But Melodifestivalen, I mean, these are people that work in the entertainment business that are basically professional singers competing as well. So
Yeah. And yeah, I think a lot of countries do that in Eurovision, where they actually are well-known singers from their own country, even though we might not recognize them.
Right.
But it's just, I don't know. There's a big difference with this American Song Contest because the states didn't have their own individual competitions. So we don't know any of these acts. And like,
how did they get here?
Minnesota was week 1. I'm like, I don't know who they are, and I don't really care. So like they did well, but it's like,
out here.
well, it's different when it's like mellow. You have like weeks to figure out who
Right.
should we send from our country.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
and I feel like I've been comparing it to almost like a Miss America pageant where you see each state up there and like, oh, there's Minnesota, and Minnesota never makes it to the talent part of the competition. So and I don't know who these people are.
Right.
I don't know.
It's like Frank from 7-Eleven. Come
Yeah.
on, it's like random individuals.
Right. Yeah. So it feels different if you can kind of like actually choose who you want to send from your own state, and then your
Sure.
state is invested in it too. And it's like, this is
Right.
just, a lot of people are saying it does just feel like another singing competition. And I agree with that.
That's
But the
what
songs have been good. So
Yeah.
that's been a nice,
Well, I
surprise.
told Sean that it just, like what you said, that it just feels like another TV show.
Yeah.
Whereas here, people change their plans. You like shop, 2 weeks ahead of time, getting ready for the different episodes and competitions.
And I'm over here
stuff,
like,
but-
guys, have you seen Eurovision? Like, have you seen it? Why? Why?
oh my gosh, get out of here. See, the thing with Eurovision, it's like, it is cheesy in so many ways, but that's why it's like, it's so great. It's really wholesome. There's amazing moments. There's cheesy moments.
Yeah,
it's
That's
just,
the thing.
It's just
I've
a fun
had
time.
scores of Europeans try to explain it to me in exactly those terms. Like, yeah, it's bad, but that's why it's good. And I'm like, no, what?
I'm telling you, if you watch it with people, watching it with people changes it too.
Okay,
And
okay.
have you ever tried to do that? Because I promise you, then
Well, I mean,
you'll maybe get on board.
Half my time here has been COVID time. So like me watching Melody Festival or Eurovision has with somebody else is typically my wife next to me on the couch and then Rodney on my phone. Like, what in the world is going on my television right now? And he's like, no. It's called Schlager. It's a thing. And I'm like,
Exactly.
Schlager?
What's Schlager?
Yeah, I mean the traditional songs for it is supposed to be kind of corny and like country. It wasn't like all this flash bang special effects and like modern music. Traditionally,
it's basically like, does it sound like any song in Mamma Mia? Perfect. We'll take it.
Well,
that's Schlager.
And I saw a small clip of, is it Green Slushy? Was that the name? There was this.
Ooh, $1 million smoothies, but I know what you're talking about.
Right. But that's the first song that popped up, and I only saw a little bit of it, but when I looked at it, I was like, now that could potentially be Eurovision.
That's true.
Material.
It was so weird that it actually would have maybe worked, but it was a mess. But one of my complaints throughout like all of these performances, they have like 20 people on stage.
Yeah.
Get off the stage. Why are there so many people?
Yeah.
That's the one complaint. The music sounds like you're on a carnival ride somewhere, but it's like, there's 20 people. It's too much. Minimalism.
Too much.
Michael Bolton went by himself.
Well, until they still managed to squeeze 15 people in at the very end. They like opened the curtain just to show like, we got them on stage. Don't worry.
It's like mandatory. It's like some
it's like
agency.
an attendance record. Like how many people are they all here for this song? Check.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, Meagan, what are some of the things we're supposed to be heading into lighter times and in towards summer months? We got Easter, we have Majbål coming up on May 1st. Tomorrow, I watched the weather. We're supposed to get like snow and sleet and rain and chill for a day, like a day or two. Because you know how it rebounds right when Sweden starts teasing you a little bit with that.
First spring is over.
Yeah, no, it's
first
not
spring.
happening. Yeah. But what are some of the things that you miss the most?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because to me, it's like, oh, I miss everything. I don't miss the darkness. I will say that.
Okay.
Like that was something moving to Sweden. I was like, I will take the darkness over the cold anytime because I'm from Minnesota.
Right.
And now coming back, I was like, you know what? I never complained about the cold once since being back because at least I have sunshine. I have sunshine almost every day here. So that's been really nice. But otherwise, I definitely miss just the culture of like the people being so nice and the whole idea of being like lagom, just like everything just feels so like relaxed. I feel like in Sweden, one thing I also miss is like the closeness of all the places. Like I used to live in Örebro. I was able to walk somewhere if I needed something, and here I can't. It's like I have to drive everywhere I go, and that's been very annoying. I don't want to have to drive everywhere. So yeah, I do miss being able to walk around, bike, and it's hard to explain because I feel like it's a broad answer when I say like everything, but it's just I just always felt like I was at home when I was in Sweden. So versus here, I always feel like it's just more chaotic in a way.
Right.
But,
America.
It's a good thing that the price of gas hasn't gone up over there.
Right, yeah.
Since you have to drive everywhere.
Well, once you start pricing it by the liter over there,
Well, right. And that's where it's like, I know everyone's complaining about gas prices here, but then everyone's like, but in Europe, I'm like, yes, I know, but Europe, of course, it's more expensive, but you don't have to drive everywhere in Europe. So in a way, it balances out a little bit. So when it goes up here, it's like, it can definitely take a big hit financially if you're driving everywhere. Yeah.
Now, I know it was really tough, and we are going to remind people and invite people to go in and to check out Meagan's episodes because you went through this deportation thing that was less fun and ended up back home. But what were some of the things when you got home? What were some of the first things that you did? Other than call Migrationsverket and be like, hey!
Well, it's not like they ever answered the phone, so.
Right.
Yeah. Well, in terms of like the things I did once I was back in Minnesota, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Well, so the biggest thing was just seeing family and friends because I was in Sweden when COVID started. So I didn't get to see them for about 2 years. So that was just really nice being able to visit family. And then one of my sisters I hadn't seen for even a couple years before that. So that was just really, what a nice time to finally be able to see my sister. And I met a couple nieces I'd never met before.
Cool.
Yeah. So lots of things that were positive from coming back.
Right.
And also just like some of the work opportunities that have lined up. Like I do a lot of editing for someone else now, which is why my own channel, I haven't been posting as frequently as I'd like to. But one of the big things was because I was back in Minnesota, I was able to start editing videos for someone in Minnesota. Okay. And so that was just really nice to kind of have that lined up when I came back.
Right.
And other than that... I mean,
what about food stuff? Food. Was there like when you got back, you were like beeline? I have to make a beeline.
Yeah, beeline to like Chipotle, Mexican food. That's all I wanted for like weeks.
Yes.
I wanted
Minnesota
so
famous
much,
for Mexican food as well.
Right. Well, I know Swedes are like, they love their Taco Fridays. And I'm just like, they don't know what tacos are. They're good. I like the tacos, but I know it's back home. And these are not, these are not the tacos I'm used to. Yeah. So like Chipotle, oh my gosh. I think I had Chipotle several days in a row. Like that was just, that was good. Spicy foods again, having anything with spice in it. Yeah.
The people at Chipotle were like, hey, Meagan, we need you to take it a little easy. We've been in here for like 7 days in a row.
Please go home.
You need to at least do 1 day of Taco Bell, at least to cleanse,
No, ew. I don't want that kind of cleanse. That's just disgusting. Gross.
We had talked about, there is a chain here called Taco something.
Taco bar, I think,
right. And it's one of those things when I first heard it, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be great. They've got to have like Mexican food, like real,
the promise it held.
Yeah. But it always felt to me like they have 4 bowls of ingredients, and depending upon what you order, they just kind of stack it like in a different way. Like this has chips, this has... When I go home, that's one of the top things on my list is to go and just get like really good Mexican food.
Yeah.
Genuine.
I will say Taco Bar, their tacos are really good, but it's just like, it's not what you expect. I guess coming from American taco, Mexican places, like, I would say it's like they're good, but they're not really Mexican tacos. I don't know.
Okay. Especially if you've ever eaten like the authentic thing. Like even like you can even know then, okay, it's Tex-Mex. I know it's a different vibe, but I know like the good stuff of Tex-Mex. And then they're like Taco Bar. Oh, this is the magic of Swedish tacos. And I'm like, yeah, it's definitely Swedish tacos.
Yeah, Swedish tacos.
Yeah. Meagan, I believe you have some trips coming up. You are actually going to be doing some traveling. And is this your first time kind of out and about traveling since the COVID stuff happened?
Well, when I came back, I visited my sisters. My sisters don't live in Minnesota. So I did, that's when I did some traveling, went out to Pennsylvania, went to Alabama. I also went to Arizona like a month and a half ago for a wedding. So I've actually done a little bit of traveling since being back. Yeah, but this will be my first time going back to Europe. So that's the trip I have coming up in like 2 days.
Wow.
Coming up fast, but I'm really excited about it. So I'll actually be flying to Poland and doing some some secret business stuff there. I don't know. I won't give too much away, but my plans for moving to Sweden are kind of in the works. I mean, I have multiple things right now. Like, no matter what, I will be back in Sweden. I just don't know if I have to, like, I applied to more master's programs. Like, I don't want another degree, but so if I have to,
I might be mistaken. I might be mistaken, but I think The Bachelorette is casting right now.
Yeah.
You actually might be right. I think they are casting for The Bachelorette right now.
Yeah.
No, I have a boyfriend. He's in Czech Republic, so I'll be going from Prague to the Czech Republic, and I'll be. Did I say Prague? I'll be going from Poland to Czech Republic, and I'll be basically in Europe for like 3 weeks, hopefully.
Nice.
So yeah,
Fantastic.
I'm excited.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, we can't wait until you make it back this way as well. So that's
same. Yeah.
That's gonna
like,
be nice.
Worst case scenario is I'm getting a master's degree in Stockholm. I actually might be finding out this week if I get accepted into another program, but that's the more expensive route because I've already paid for tuition for a different program. But otherwise, possibly a job might come through. And I've also already applied for a Sambo visa back in October. So I will be back.
There's stuff.
I will be back.
There's like 18 pots on the fire right now. Whatever goes through first.
Exactly. I'm like, it's just, it's really frustrating that I did all this already. And like, that was, I talk about it in my deportation video where it's like, I thought I figured it out and it fell through. So this time around, I'm just like, I'm extra aggressive. I'm like, I will do it and I will do it correctly. And the migrations office was convinced I wasn't financially stable, which by the way, I had to prove that I could support myself financially for 12 months, but it took them 16 months to tell me I wasn't financially stable.
Yes.
I'm like,
yes.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It just doesn't make sense.
Right. So
anyway. Hey, plan B. Sean and I will come pick you up in a truck someplace.
From where?
We'll cross whatever border we have to cross.
Oh my gosh.
Wait a minute. How did I get roped into human trafficking?
Yeah.
Those drones are only to deliver beer from Germany. That's it.
That's it. Meagan, thank you so much for joining us. And we hope that you'll actually maybe do a follow-up with us and fill us in, once you do your swing around. We wish you the best of luck. Yeah, and we look forward to seeing you back here again.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully within the next 6 months at some point.
There you go. There you go. Fingers crossed. We are rooting for you. We are rooting for you.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. This was fun and it flew by. It really, that was the fastest half hour. Yeah. It was fun.
And we're going to go ahead and put up links so that people can find you, go in and do deeper research and learn a little bit more about all of this stuff that we've been talking about. So we will go ahead and post that in the description. But take care of yourself, Meagan, and we'll see you soon.
Great. Thanks.
All right, that will do it for this week's episode. Special thank you to Meagan for stopping by. We are going to put the link to her YouTube channel in the description of this episode. Be sure you go over there, check it out. She's got a lot of cool stuff going on and even more spicy hot takes of American Song Contest. And then come back here next time for more Two Guys, Three Crowns.